Welcome back to Boilers in the Stands. Purdue wins 97-79 over Akron. A wire-to-wire win in a game that honestly wasn't as close as the final score indicates. We'll break down everything that you need to know right here on Boilers in the Stands. Welcome back to Boilers in the Stands. I'm your host, Joe Jackson. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host, Kraig Bowers. Today, Purdue gets the 97-79 win over Akron. A good game in terms of not letting any kind of Alabama hangover happen and being able to just come out and secure a win against a very, very good mid-major team. Before we get into anything else, I apologize if my audio is awful. I forgot the piece that connects my mic to my laptop here in Mackey Arena. So just going to have to kind of bear with it for this one. If you are a first-time listener, I promise my audio is probably 50 times better than what it is right now. But just want to get that out of the way. Kraig, throw it to you, kind of your initial thoughts on Purdue's win.
Now, I think right off the back, the big thing is just the fact that, we talked about when we watched this team in the preview, like this was a quality team and they were ranked in the top 80 in KenPom. You come off that huge win in Alabama and, you're worried about, is there going to be a little bit of hangover from a big time game win and coming back into Mackey and maybe coming out a little bit too loose and not being focused enough. And, maybe early on, right? I mean, Akron hung around for a while. We thought they would. It is a high quality team. But at the end of the day, Purdue got focused. Purdue dug in. Offensively, it was never an issue. Second half, they come out. Defensive intensity to me was way higher, and they put it away and quickly made this a game that had no question of what the outcome was going to be. And that's what you want to see after a big win when you're coming back home and taking on a lesser opponent, but one that's still quality. And if you let them hang around too long, never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And this game shows like just how good this Purdue offense can be in a game where honestly, it never felt to me like they were fully clicking offensively. It felt very just kind of like, oh yes, a solid offensive game, and then they average whatever they average points per possession. I'm gonna look it up now.
1.439 points per possession before the walk-ons came in for those last two
Yeah,
possessions.
1.426 total. Like just this, and I think honestly that's where I want to start is just the offense. Like the defense is the concern, and absolutely, we'll talk about it. Needs to be shored up. This offense is like historically good. Like historically good. I think they're already like a top five offense in KenPom history. Last season, Duke set the KenPom offensive like efficiency record. I believe it was 130.1. Purdue right now is up to 127.8, and I believe they started the year at 124. This is a team that like it's an understatement to say that it's a great offense. Like that's not a good enough testament to how good this offense is. This is truly elite. Really one through nine for the rotation that's kind of come about. Like there is a lot of guys who can knock down shots, a lot of playmakers, and just so many options. So we'll talk about the defense and all that, but I just wanted to call that out. That this offense is. It's only been 4 games, 3 of them against mid-majors. So granted, like still need to see it continue, but it's on pace to be like historically good.
Yeah, and I realize you say 3 of them against mid majors, but it's also not like they're playing teams in the 300s. The mid majors they've played have been decent teams. Oakland's picked to finish second in their conference. The team they play tonight, Akron, picked to win their conference. They're not slouch of mid majors. So I think it's still definitely impressive, and the fact that they did it to Alabama too, I think just kind of shows what they're capable of, even against big time teams. Gonna have to see more of it. Obviously, going to Bahamas, they're gonna have a couple more big tests down there, especially depending who they're gonna face in that second game, and we'll see what happens. But just off the back, Joe, if we're gonna get into takeaways here pretty quickly, to me, my big takeaway is rebounding at Purdue is cool again. That's my big takeaway. And, we posited about, does TKR coming back change this team from a rebounding standpoint drastically? And at the time we said no, right? Because TK's never necessarily been a huge rebounder, but one thing we did discuss was he was way better as a rebounder in less minutes, like 24, 26 minutes a game, playing that 4 spot next to another big man, where he's boxing out a 4-man that's usually smaller than him, where a lot of time he's coming in and crashing the glass after a center has already kind of carved out some space in there. And it's been nothing but a revelation the last 2 games in terms of what he's been able to do. And he's ratcheted that to a completely different level. But I think just as importantly, I think his energy and physicality, when he attacks like he has been the last 2 games, everybody else feeds off of it. And I still, there's a piece of me that, like, there's a switch that flips in Clough once he gets punched in the mouth. Like you can see it where it's like, okay, like, hey, go be that guy from last game. And then he gets kind of hit hard and then boom, wakes him up. He goes hard again. Right when he came back in the first half, after he got subbed out that first rotation, I think he gets 2 offensive rebounds almost right away after he comes back into the game. And then from there, he took off and was running in terms of collecting boards. One of them finishes with 15, one of them finishes with 14. Just absolutely impressive. And with the offensive efficiency that this team has, if they can have like +5 to if they can have +10 numbers in rebounding like the Edey era, this team's going to be really hard to beat. If they're somewhere around +5, still going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, this team with TKR back for these 2 games, again, 2-game sample size, things will normalize a bit, but they're rebounding over 50% of their misses right now in the last 2 games with TKR back. You hit it with TKR, just like, I mean, he's just looked like an animal on the glass. I mean, he ripped one from CJ's hands at one point. He has back-to-back games with 15 rebounds and just really impressive right now. In terms of individual offensive rebounding percentage in the entire country, TKR ranks 4th and Oscar Clough ranks 5th. They are eating on the glass right now, and I don't expect it to sustain to this level just because I don't think it's a realistic level. But even if it drops just a little bit, like, that's still going to be an incredibly good rebounding team. If this team is as good as they are offensively anyways, where most times their first look's going to be awesome, if they're getting second chances where some of them is simply Clough and TKR just going back up and others is, hey, we'll just reset and run 20 more seconds off the shot clock and then go hit a bucket, going to be incredibly, incredibly hard to stop this offense. And that's how this team's going to have to win games. We'll talk about the defense in a minute, but yeah, really, really impressive stuff on the glass from TKR and Clough. And Clough, every single game is looking better and better. And you called it out before the game as we're just kind of sitting there and there was like the pregame stats and it was like, you were like, hey, Clough's averaging a double-double. And yes, it was like he's averaging a double-double through 4 games now too. And I feel like for as much, he's gotten a lot of hate, it feels like. And like he's averaging a double-double through 4 games. Like I don't know, I guess I don't know what his full expectations were or people had of him. And maybe that's where I'm getting caught up. To me, he was like a come in 6 to 8 points, just dirty work on the glass, and then 8 to 10 rebounds. Like that seemed like his role to me. And he's giving even a little bit more than that. So that's very good, to see going forward. I guess for me, another big takeaway is, we started to see the glimpses even more than with Omer Meyer. And I guess I'll to generalize the takeaway, Meyer and Clough continue to look better every single game. And that's exactly what you want to see with some of your newcomers. We'll talk about Meyer more in depth in just a minute, but I really I've enjoyed seeing the game-to-game progression from both of them.
Yeah, 100%. And my second takeaway actually was beyond the rebounding of the 2 big men was about Meyer. And I've been pretty open about where I think Meyer needs to get better to get more and more minutes on this team. And I think the last 2 games, especially, we've definitely seen a progression forward. I thought against Alabama, he took a defensive step forward in that game. In this game, I thought, again, more on this game specifically, I thought offensively he took a step forward. Now, when it got late, there were a few little sloppy things in there. Maybe let's get hungry and try to jack up a off the dribble 3 in there. But when the game was still kind of in question and that lead was starting to grow out before it got late in the game. I thought he was really good offensively for the most part. Are there still going to be moments where he's trying to figure it out? Yeah. Like you saw him on that fast break make a decision to drive into three people and just kind of get lost and that ball get eaten up and it turned into a turnover. But his good moments are really, really good right now. And I think as the season progresses, you're just going to see him make better and better choices. And to me, that's all it is because he has the talent, right? He just has to continue to grow, continue to get more comfortable with everybody around him and figure out just kind of that decision-making process that we saw from Braden in year one as well. And I think he's obviously going to be sitting extremely good to start year two after going through this full year. But I think by the time we hit January, so he's going to hit his stride. And for me, Joe, I wrote some notes down of what I consider good Omer. Okay. One, when he was really good today, he was facilitating the ball really, really well. And it up through like 3/4 of the game, I think he only had one turnover up to that point. Thought he made some really good reads, some really good passes, finds Clough in a really tough spot, in a pick and roll action and leads to a Clough dunk. It's just one of several examples that he had out there today. The other thing was in the first half, he got to his mid range. And to me, when I was watching Meyer during FIBA, and just watching him practice, that's where he's deadliest. When he can get in there at his own pace under such control and he's got such a big body that he can get that mid-range shot off just about any time he wants. And he's pretty deadly with it. And if he doesn't hit it a lot of time, just because people have a hard time getting around him to block that shot, he draws a foul. So a lot of times he's either going to the line or he's going to go ahead and hit that. The third thing is catch and shoot threes. To me, he's been awful good off catch and shoot threes. Off the dribble threes, not so much. I think he provides that option late in shot clock when Purdue's struggling to get a shot, get a good look, because he certainly can hit those off the dribble threes. But I'm going to bet his percentage is considerably higher off catch and shoot. He had multiple catch and shoot threes tonight that looked really good. And then he didn't let the ball stick in his hands quite as much. When you watched him play in FIBA, there was a lot of times he was tasked with doing so much and creating for everyone else on those teams that the ball would stick for a long time. And I thought through the first couple of games, it did as well. And tonight, especially in those lineups where Smith was out there too, I thought he did a lot better job of making quicker decisions, making quicker reads, and just keeping that ball popping. If he excels and continues to kind of move forward and focus on those four things, I think he's going to be really, really good once the defense catches up, because he got bailed out for like 3 or 4 times tonight where he just kind of missed a rotation or who he was supposed to be covering on a specific play. But man, I think the future is really, really bright. Honestly, I think he's progressing at a faster rate than I would have guessed a month ago.
Yeah, we'll kind of just move into our player breakdowns because I think that's who we needed to start with Meyer, and I think gave a lot of good thoughts. Pulling up the stats here, had 14 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, shot 5 of 10 from the floor, including 3 of 7 from 3. I think I agree with a lot of what you said. To me, like the game is there very clearly. Duh, that's not a profound statement. It's a little fast at times for him right now. He's still just a little bit slow, kind of processing the game. Like he had the one turnover where I think TKR gets doubled in the post. It's a kick out to Meyer, who's one pass away because they were doubling strong side, one pass away. And Meyer makes the right read. It was just a half second late. Like that skip pass that he threw, it got intercepted. That was the right read because the weak side corner man had already rotated up to the wing. That left Braden wide open in the corner. It was just a half second late. He hesitated, so then it's able to get picked off. It just said knock over water bottles. Just little things like that where it's just like I think some of the processing and the indecision at times, it's just the game's a little bit too fast. He's a freshman. That's normal. Like we can get Braden was better than him as a freshman, so I'm not saying that. But like if we go back and watch Braden film from freshman year, could probably say some of the similar things. That's just to say like I think Meyer needs to get some time too. I I guess I don't want people to go too overboard and expect him to be Braden Smith right now. He can get to that elite level at some point, and he's going to have flashes of it for sure. Like he's going to have flashes, and he might even get close to it this season. But there is definitely still things to work on, things to improve. But it was a very good sighting just to see him have his most complete game through the four, and just kind of keep stacking good game on good game and improving piece by piece. So very big thing to see. I guess there's some comments just kind of talking about like Meyer starting over CJ or Jakari, or like should we, is that something that should happen? I think for me, and I'll pull up the rotation here as we talk about it. For anybody that's new, colored box means that that player played that minutes. Purdue margin down at the bottom for each lineup while they were on the floor. I don't see the need for him to start, especially just given that CJ and Jakari are the better defensive options, and that's what Purdue needs from that two spot right now specifically. I expect Meyer to be closing a lot of games, or a good chunk of games. I think he absolutely will be closing games, but I don't see the necessity really for him to start, given that he can kind of he seems to have found his groove where he rotates in as the backup two guard. Usually, so Jakari subs in first, then Meyer subs in for Loyer, gets 2 to 3 minutes of run of kind of loosening up and getting in the flow, and then he takes over point guard responsibilities when Braden sits. So for me, that's kind of where I stand with it. I would expect you to probably have similar thoughts, Craig. But do you have anything different on kind of the whole Meyer starting potentially thing? You're muted.
That's money in the jar for me. But you have to put more money in the jar because you forgot your mic cord. So,
That's
um,
fair.
but no, I like the rotation where it is, and I actually pulled this comment up from Daniel Edwards, WM1HX, because I'm not going to compare Meyer to Ginobili, like in no world right now. But like, I think he makes a good point, right? Was Ginobili one of the top 5 players on that Spurs team? Yeah, he was. Were the Spurs best when that rotation was him coming off the bench? Just the way it worked in terms of rotational lineups throughout the entire game. Yeah. And I think it's the same way with this team right now. I think it works best when he comes in and plays next to Braden for a little bit. Then Braden sits, it spells him for a little bit, gives him a complete break where he gets to kind of be, even sometimes when him and Smith are out there, right? Like Smith will toss him the ball, let him bring it up, let him initiate the offense, and Braden can kind of play off ball a little bit, and then give him those minutes where he's running the show, And for me, keeping CJ or Jakari out there in most lineups, I think there have been a few times, a few minutes in the last couple of games where one of them wasn't on the court, but by and large, at least one of them has been out there for defensive purposes. I just like that rotation.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. And maybe we just jump to CJ and Jakari for this game as we were walking through some of the players. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button while you're here, and throw a comment down in the chat. Actually, before we do that, that reminds me, we do have a couple super chats, and I want to read those first before we get to the rest of the players. John H 199 says, "Thanks for doing these late night shows, fellas. Appreciate the support." Salty B says, "What a difference a weekend makes. Triple double double. Boiler up bits." Um,
That's
a
first
triple
time,
three players getting double doubles. There we go.
right? And that's Clough, TKR, and Smith. And I believe somebody said on the broadcast, they said it'd been 20 years since Purdue had 3 players have a double double. So that is an impressive feat.
Yeah, 100%. And then our founder brags in the stands, says Clough dominant, TKR All American, Omer Meyer impressive. Boilers deserve credit for not playing with their food after a short turnaround from Bama. I think my favorite thing with Braggs is donating when it is just literally costing him money, because YouTube, I believe, takes some sort of cut of this. But appreciate Braggs tuning in. I know he had a busy day covering the Bears, and I believe, yeah, they won today on
The
a
Bears won.
last
The
second field
Bears,
goal.
yes.
They did.
Bears beat the Vikings. Greg's
They
living in
did.
heaven right now. Purdue's
Yeah,
good. The Bears are good. Life is good for Gregory.
he's doing good. So Jason Pugh also just threw in a 4.99, said for Craig's mute. I know how to say this, but it's just like not.
Faux pas. Faux
There it
pas.
is. There it is. So
Yeah.
maybe I
Oh,
need it
hey.
for English lessons too. I don't know.
Also, by the way, from the last live show, everybody that donated towards my new laptop because they were convinced that my issues with lagging were my laptop. Shout out to the haters. You were all right. I went out and bought a new laptop that's got a lot more capability, a lot more RAM, and we are cooking. Done a few shows. No more lagging. Thank you for all those donations towards my new laptop.
Yeah, no, we do appreciate the donations. It does, in all seriousness, it does help. Just little things like that does help us kind of be able to do these. And Craig's going to be able to go cover the game in Bahamas. And even if it's not even super chat, but just liking, subscribing, tuning in, joining in the chat, it is all very much appreciated, and it is what allows us to be able to do these things and do these shows. So let's get back to the player breakdowns then. I segued to CJ and Jakari. I'll just kind of stick with it for this. CJ has 3 points, knocks down a three, 1 rebound, has a block. Jakari has 6 points, knocked down two twos, two from the free throw line, two offensive rebounds, and an assist and a steal. It kind of just feels like they're playing their role. I think both looked a little bit more aggressive, hunting their own at times today, and there's going to be moments for that. I would like to see a little bit better, more consistency on the defensive side of the ball. I think there's room to improve on that end for both of them right now. But I don't know. They're just their role is to be glue guy and defensive guy and knock down a three, and I trust them both to be able to do that.
Yeah, 100%. And like with both of those guys, the wasn't a great shooting night for CJ, right? He missed some shots, quite frankly, that we just expect him to make because we've seen him do it over and over again. But I was at least encouraged by the fact that like he was a little bit more aggressive about taking it when he had a good look or when he had a lane to go ahead and drive. Obviously, would like to see him knock more of those down, but Jakari again, same kind of thing, a little bit more aggressive. It felt like today. Like to see it. He did shoot fairly well tonight, at least going 2 for 3 from the floor. But again, like low volume shots, game to game. These guys are never going to be high volume this year. And that role primarily is to focus on the defensive end, provide energy, provide pressure. If you're looking for either one of these guys to break out and all of a sudden be, a 10-point score or more per game, I just don't think it's going to happen. So, like, I think we need to adjust our standard. Well, are they both capable of doing that on any given night? Yeah, I think they are. But that's not going to be a game in, game out sort of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we both know that on any given night they can go off. CJ's done it a few times. Like, I don't know. I'm not concerned about them. I would like to see a little bit better defense from both of them, from the entire team. But that's
So,
really
so
the only.
tell me, like, when you say better defense from them, for those who are listening, and me, like specifically, what things would you like to see them both do better right now?
Really, it's just screen navigation. Like, they're not. They're. I think. Right, it's hard to navigate screens. If somebody sets a screen on you, it is just hard to get around. I think there's little things that they can do a bit better of like pressuring the ball and just kind of getting in, so that way they're not so far behind all the time. Not all the time. Um, just I guess a little bit more consistency where it's like sometimes they get through screens I think really well, and other times they end up 3, 4 steps behind. And if that happens, that's when Purdue's just in trouble. And same can be said for Braden Fletch Meyer as well. Just it's more of CJ and Jakari, like that is what they're brought in to do. They're also given the task of guarding the hardest
Right.
guy to guard on the perimeter. So it's more nitpicky than anything, but more just kind of the only other note I had on them.
Yeah. So, the last game we saw Clough play more drop. DJ's always going to play drop. As for those guards like CJ and Jakari in those situations, is it harder uh, screen navigation wise when you're kind of hedging at level or high hedging, or if you're playing with a guy who's going to be in that drop spot?
I would say drop, because in a hedge where you're the big is trying to force the ball handler back, it should give you a little bit the guard a little bit more time to get through. In drop, it's twofold, and I should say that like part of being in drop is that the guard's responsibility is to make sure that the ball handler uses the screen. Here, because I'll just draw it up really quick here. Basically, though, like you kind of have to make sure that they use the screen because of the way that it's set up. Basically, go here at the board. If this is just a high pick and roll, so drop coverage means that this big right here, this is Clough Jacobsen. As this ball handler comes off, he's going to kind of drop back, keep the ball handler and the roller in front. And so priority number one is making sure that this guy actually does go off of it. Because say this guard tries to like jump this and he rips this way, sometimes your drop coverage could start up here, and you can see how that can be an issue, right? Where if he's able to refuse and get downhill, now he's kind of having to rotate this way, and it can throw some things off. So hedge generally should help it a little bit, just give a little bit more time for the guards to be able to get back. But I would also, yeah, it's more nitpicky than anything. Of just like I think for this team to hit their absolute ceiling, it's CJ and Jakari who are already good defenders, becoming consistently great defenders.
Okay. Good to know. Who do you want to move to next? I think we got I mean, we mentioned Clough and TKR as a group. Do we need to say anything more about Clough? I know we needed to about TKR because we kind of just lumped him in there and then ran away from him.
Um, I'm Clough, very, very good. The one other thing actually I have about Clough, and I'll read off his stats too, because I don't think I did. 14 points on 7 of 9 shooting, 14 rebounds, 8 of them coming on the offensive side of the ball. Um, Also had an assist and a turnover. This was the first game it felt like he really at times was just like, no, I'm scoring this right now. Like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
bully you, and you can't stop it. So it was good to see that. That's the only other note I had in Clough. And if not, we can jump
I
to
thought
TK.
I thought his defensive energy was really good too. Like I thought his hands were really good tonight. Whether or not he was actually getting steals or not, I thought his hands were disruptive. We know his wingspan's really big, and kind of in those situations where he's guard and pick and roll, I thought he, excuse me, I thought he was disruptive, and I thought his energy was really good. I think more of that probably, or a lot of that probably comes with just again more reps, more consistency with who he's navigating that with, and kind of knowing playing off of each other and just becoming more comfortable with it. Doesn't look like he's thinking as much; he's just instinctively reacting. So I thought he was really good on that end too. You pay more attention to the defensive side of the ball, or you see things faster than I do on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know if you agree with that statement or not.
No, I definitely do. I think, just making improvements. I think he's like, I don't know. Clough will be interesting. It's good that Clough can play in a hedge or drop. I think the team around him is better suited to play drop, although he himself can play in hedge. So it's good. It's good that Purdue has the option, and we'll kind of see
Yeah.
where they go with. I think they're going to toy with it, and also like as the Big Ten is loaded with good point guards, and sometimes just being able to throw multiple looks at a guard is the most important thing. So, good call out there from you for sure. TKR, 17 points, 15 rebounds, including 7 of them being on the offensive side of the ball. Our offensive glass, 7 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, an assist, a turnover, a block, and a steal, also all from TKR. The energy is crazy. Like, I'm going to read off his, if I can get them, because there they are. I'm going to read off his first half stats. 5 points on 1 of 4 shooting, but 9 rebounds. He had 9 rebounds in the first half in 16 minutes. He had his stat line at one point was 1 point and 9 rebounds, and it was one of the more impactful 1 point halves I thought ever. Not ever, maybe, but like at least that we've seen recently. And then he gets to 5, but even in a game where it felt like did he even get? He got like 2 post touches and they just doubled him. Like he didn't. I don't even think he got too many short rolls. It didn't feel like. Um, he still ends up
Now,
with 17 points just because he's able to impact in multiple ways.
yeah, I marked it it was in the beginning of the second half. It was when he got his first short roll bucket. And there's also some point there pretty earlier in the second half when he got doubled and he was just like, I'm getting a basket. And he just kind of powered through. But I don't know that it was actually the greatest decision, but he's so strong. He did it and scored anyway. At some point of like, I'm getting mine. And then they started to kind of pile up after that, but it's amusing to me because for the last 3 years, we have all these. Somebody wrote like a long form article on TKR, kind of being this really pensive thinker, and he studies philosophy, and he's kind of this quiet soul, and all of those sort of things. And man, he looks like he's shot out of a cannon, and he's just been lit on fire to start this season because. I mean, we've seen high energy out of him before, but nothing to the level of intensity that he's played with in these last 2 games. And if that carries through the rest of the season, it's only going to mean really, really good things for this team and everybody around him.
TKR through 2 games looks like somebody whose only goal is to win a national championship. Like that is just what he looks like right now. And I think it seems like it's elevated Clough as well. I know Clough has had um, almost double digit boards in every single all 4 games, but it feels like Clough's just also meshing well with him, and it's gonna be a front court. Also, Purdue has a pretty fun backcourt, led by Braden Smith, who had 16 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, adds in 2 steals as well, 3 turnovers, with 2 of them coming off of baseline out of bounds. Inbounds. Braden's elite. I'm gonna let you go first because I think I've taken pretty much all of them. It feels like because I'm just talking. But what were your thoughts on Braden?
I mean, obviously, it wasn't a great shooting night for him, but Braden can just impact the game in so many different ways. We've seen him do it from rebounding. We've seen him do it from facilitating. We've seen it from him scoring at a really, really high level. But I thought for me tonight, it was just him being a floor general in general. Because even when he's not getting a direct assist, a lot of times he can manipulate the defense, pass that ball, and essentially get a hockey assist from the next pass or the next pass that happens. And I just thought he did a really, really nice job of being a floor general and directing everything that happened out there tonight. Would you like to see the shot go down a little bit more? Sure. But Braden doesn't have to have that to impact the game. And I like, look, the stare down, right? The early in the game, the shot fake, guy blows by, gives the kind of James Harden stare down before he shoots the three. Some people are going to love that. Some people aren't, but it was pretty cold, man. It was pretty cold.
I mean, that's who Braden is. I love that. I know I've said this story about 18 times, but basically, the first time I watched Braden Smith film in high school, he did something very similar to the opposing high school student section, and that was when I was like, oh yeah, this dude's just incredible. Um, yeah, he can impact the game in multiple ways. It's tough in these types of games where he just knows he can kind of get what he wants. What does he want to score?
Yeah.
Does he want to facilitate? We both called the lob to Jacobsen for his 10th assist in the possession before it happened. It was just like, yep, Braden's going to get his 10th assist right here. I bet it's a lob to Jacobsen, and then he's going to check out, and that is what
Sure enough.
happens. Yeah, I don't know. Braden Smith just at this point is waking up and just kind of rolling to 16 and 10. Like I wouldn't say it was like an insane Braden Smith game or anything, but he just still just kind of gets his numbers and impacts the game in a
Yeah.
way that basically nobody can. And that's
I
just
have
who
a
Braden Smith
question.
is.
I have a question on the baseline out of bounds defense they were running because it looked like they were essentially like setting up a zone defense on those baseline out of bound plays. And I'm sure I've seen it before in a game, but this was the first time it really, really jumped out to me. And I was like, are they like running a zone on that baseline out of bounds?
Yeah, no, they were, and I'll draw it up because I this was something that I wanted to call out. Basically, they were setting up in like this. Oh, you're getting the reflection. Oh well, it's like this 1-3 like one zone, but like basically a lot of what Purdue's baseline out of bounds are designed are is like getting guys running to the corners. So like obviously you have the inbounder here, you have somebody here. This guy would take, and then if like another guy comes, then he would like step out, and then there'd be a third here, and this guy would be very. That's usually like Evan Mahaffey, very long, very active, jumping up and down, and it was interesting. It was something I also hadn't really seen, at least to that degree. I also will. I want to just shout out the Akron coaching staff, and you could hear a bit from where we were sitting, even too at times. Like whoever, I'm not going to act like I know the staff or anything like that, but whoever was in charge of the scout for Purdue, they knew what was going on. There was multiple times I heard them call out what plays were going to be ran for Purdue, some of the handoff actions that they got to, and I think I wouldn't be shocked if this zone that they ran was also kind of a counter some of Purdue's baseline out of bounds play. So I want to give them credit for that. But yeah, it was interesting, definitely to see that. Anything else on Braden?
No.
All right.
Let's go
Then
to Fletch.
let's move to Fletch. 16 points on 4-10 shooting, knocks down 3 of 6 from 3, adds in an assist, adds in a turnover. Fletch is going to Fletch, especially in Mackey.
I just thought he was ultra aggressive. And, you know, Not much was said because we won against that Alabama team, but I did see a few comments, primarily from other people trying to troll of like, oh, where's Big Game Fletch because he wasn't there in that game. Alabama's defense, and we talked about this in the preview show, was going to be set up for a big time pick and roll night, Braden TKO, right? And they were going to kind of shut off the water on everybody else in terms of getting their shots off from three, which obviously is primarily where Fletcher lives. In the preview show on this team, we talked about the fact like, hey, this is going to be one of those games where everybody else is going to have their opportunities. And like you could tell they knew right off the jump that they were going to go to Fletch, and they went to him early and often because he was going to have opportunities given what this defense was going to give to Purdue. And we saw other people too, right? CJ got multiple kickouts for threes. Meyer got kickouts for threes. Whether they win or not, they were there for players to take in this specific game. And Painter always talks about like, hey, when you're talking about what somebody was doing and were they getting shots up or not getting shots up, there's another team trying to take away those shots. And however they design that defense, they're going to try to take away something. Some teams are going to try to jam the paint, not let anybody score at the rim. Some teams are going to try to run every single player off of that 3-point line. So it just depends on how it's set up. And in certain nights, Fletch is going to be the guy that's going to get a lot of open looks and take them. We don't need Fletcher to force stuff when it's not there. You don't want that from an efficiency standpoint. Tonight it was there. Fletch came out right out of the gate, just aggressive as heck, and he was on fire. And knocks down an open three, gets fouled on the second one, goes and hit three. Hits a couple more threes, I think, in the first half still as well. So Fletch is going to Fletch and Mackey, but also I think just as importantly, this defense was designed where Fletch was going to have opportunities.
And they went, I mean, you said it, but they went to him right away. And he was very aggressive right away. Loyer at 4 games, but he's up to 14 of 27 from three on the season, which is 51.9%. I think more than anything, he's attempted double the amount of threes as twos right now while maintaining his free throw rates. What that means is he's free throw rate is just how many free throws you attempt, like divided by the number of field goal attempts you take. Um, he's still getting to the line a good bit for his position, but he is taking a lot more threes. So some of those drives, instead of he's pulling up for two when it's wide open because he is a good mid-range shooter. Uh, but you just see him being a little bit more willing to just let threes fly this year. And I think I would bet that was very much a point of emphasis since he shot 44.4% from three the last 2 seasons each, and he somehow only improved. And it still feels like people don't view him as one of the best shooters in the country. But regardless, it's just Fletch is going to Fletch, especially Mackey. Love to see it. And like you said, some games it'll be his night. Other games he needs to be out there because that means defenses have to put a defender on him and focus on him, and that opens up things for everybody else as well. So, anything else on Fletch?
I think you're right though about him like forcing the issue and taking more, and I think that is just a matter of the amount of space that he needs to get that three off. I think he's adjusted like how much space do I need to go ahead and take this shot and realize that he doesn't. He just needs that sliver to get it off. And we've seen him last year. I felt like, man, it feels like CJ gets fouled on a three every single game. This year, it feels like Fletch gets fouled on a three every single game. And I think part of that is he's taking shots where people are just a little bit late trailing and, they're just kind of running right through him, trying to block that shot and not getting to it quick enough.
Definitely. So, who else have we not hit on? I guess Jacobsen is really the only.
Yeah.
And then we hit on Meyer, right? Yeah, we hit on Meyer off the top. Jacobsen's, I guess, really the only other player. 9 points, 4 or 5 shooting. Did knock down a three, a good pick and pop with Jakari Harris. Adds in 2 boards. Is that 4 blocks? Did he have 4 blocks?
He had 4 blocks tonight.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not realize that he had that many, but he did end up with 4 blocks and a steal as well. What were your thoughts on Jacobsen?
I thought especially in the second half, and I felt like this in a couple of different games, where it seems like it takes him just a little bit to settle down and like not rush things. Because it feels like a lot of times, especially when he gets a true post-up touch, that he's just moving too fast. And it's like, dude, you're 7'4". Like nobody's taking that ball from you if it's up here. Like just take your time. And like Zach was so good about that. It's just about being patient. Let me get to my move. I'm 7'4". I can shoot it over you when I decide to make that move and instead of rushing it. But I thought in the second half, he looked way more collected, just way more calm in the way he was going about things. He took his time on a true post up, hits it that time, gets a couple of lobs. Thought he was really good defensively in terms of getting blocks. One of those he blocked on the other side of the rim. Like somebody went up and did it. It was the little Mahaffey. Goes up and under, and he reaches across the bottom of the net and blocks that shot on the other side. So I thought impressive stuff. Defeats defensively. He steps out and knocks down that three. I wouldn't mind seeing him do that a little bit more on pick and pops when he's in there. That's when he seems to be the most relaxed for some reason out of anything other than like when he's got a clear line on a lob. Also, dude made a business decision when he got undercut. I think he could have actually still put that in, and he just pulled it down and made sure he landed okay. And I am so glad he did, because we don't need to see Jacobsen get injured again. But when that guy undercut him a little bit, he's just like, nope, yep, landing, Cullen, getting the foul. We'll reset and go again.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add on Jacobsen. I think you hit it. Like pick and pop is there. I think he just needs to continue improving some of the strength and just aggression.
Yeah.
He's obviously more slender. He's listed at 7'4", 250. And I think for reference, Edie was 7'4", 290, if I recall his senior season. So Jacobsen still has, he can still work on developing his body. I'm sure that's not a novel concept to this Purdue coaching staff. I'm sure they're well aware of that. Just it feels like right now, and this was not what I was expecting after the first two exhibitions, really. But it feels right now like Clough is the one that provides the aggressiveness, the rebounding, just some of like the surefireness, and maybe we should expect that given he's a senior. And Jacobson's a little bit more of kind of finessey and like I think can still get moved around a little bit. It's game four or whatever, game five for him of his career. It's going to take time. He's going to get there. I think it's just there's going to be games where he might only get to play 12 to 15 minutes because of that. But then there's going to be other games where it's going to all click and he's going to play 25 because he's 7'4" and he's very skilled and is a very good basketball player. So will be fun to see where he goes. That's it for player breakdowns. And we're going to keep this show a little bit shorter than the Bama post game show.
A
I
lot
think
shorter.
the only thing maybe we should hit on a little bit before uh, going into some of the player awards and things like that is the defense. Purdue gives up 1.1 points per possession per KenPom. They're up down to 49th in the country for defensive rating. Um, Last year, I believe that they were what? Last year they were 53rd at basically the same exact defensive rating. Now the slip 7 spots, like I'll look it up right now. The difference, what did I say they were? They're 49th. The difference between 49th and 34th is like 0.01 points per possession. So there isn't like they can get to top 30. Not it would just take a couple good defense performance. All that to say, we know it's the struggle. Like that is the side of the ball that is their weakness. I guess from what you've seen, where do you kind of just stand? I guess panic meter level with the defensive side of the ball specifically. Is it more of a they'll get there? This team just kind of has to figure out their identity, or is it more of a like no, this is just kind of who they're going to be, and they're going to have to be good, just better offensively.
I mean, I think they can get to a top 30 defense. Do I think they can get to top 15? No, I don't. But I think if they get to top 30, they're going to be okay in terms of being able to make a really deep run and potentially cutting down the nets. And I think you have seen like small improvement, even though they slipped some tonight, right? I think you have seen some small improvements, especially in that Bama game. And the second half tonight, I thought they came out with a different intensity. Quite frankly, I don't know that in several of these games that the intensity's just been there all the way because they know they don't have to. I think as we get into tougher competition, that's going to change. I know you'd like to see it all the time. And for like old school Gene Katie, Purdue basketball fans, right? They want to see that defensive intensity all the time. I just don't know that they've had to put in 100% effort on that end in 3 out of the 4 games. So maybe we haven't seen it necessarily all the time. With that said, I do think just as Meyer gets more comfortable about what he's supposed to do, Clough continues to improve and get more comfortable, and everybody gets more comfortable playing with each other. Even throw in Jack Benner there, not really having a whole bunch of game time, and he's only getting 6 to 8 minutes, right, a game, but those minutes still matter in terms of where Purdue ends up from a defensive efficiency standpoint. I would also point out too, and I know it's adjusted for tempo, right, and Ken Palm and whatnot, but still, um, this team was a super up tempo team. Alabama was a super up tempo team. Both those teams score a lot of points. I think Akron's hung over 100 points twice this year. We know Bama can score a ton of points. They put 100 on St. John. So I think some of it too, maybe just a little bit about who we've faced so far personally. We're going to go down to the Bahamas and we're going to face one team and maybe two teams that struggle to score quite a bit. So I think you might see us rise after that week's over.
I think I'm with you for there's definitely been moments where it's just like the intensity's not there. Even today, the last, what, 4 or 5 minutes, I feel like Akron kind of just was able to kind of get some easier buckets. And little things like that, like that's the difference between being 40th in Ken Palm and 49th after a game this early in the season for sure. Um, the on-ball pressure, I think, needs to be better across the board, like just all the guards.
Yeah.
I think that's something that can be improved. I will say between Bama and today, it's felt like some of the rotations were a little bit more in sync and players weren't thinking as much and more just doing. I think that is a positive sign to take away. This defense does not need to be top 20. This defense might not even need to be top 30 with how good the offense is, but top 30 is kind of that arbitrary mark, I would say. And I think they can get there. Luckily, the defensive glass is seems like it's going to start being taken care of more. How many did Akron end up with actually today? Um, 12 offensive rebounds, 31.6 offensive rebounding percentage. It's not great, honestly, for Purdue either, but it just feels like it's still starting to get there. Um, I think they're still just searching for their identity. And whether that is they want to be more of a pressure team with cuff and hedge and that, or do they want to be a little bit more conservative, force mid range, and allow a little bit more penetration? They just kind of have to find the balance between the two. I think you'll start seeing some of the guys like really pick it up a bit more. And like I said, top 30, top 35, that's kind of all that they need. It's all that this defense needs. Um, the only player, I guess, we didn't talk about Jack Benner. He played 13 minutes, missed a three, grabbed 2 rebounds. I think with how, like, to me, the only thing I have on Benner is it's not even a Benner thing. It's the rebounding drops off so much when TKR is not on the floor, and then there's also the rotations where it's Benner and Jacobsen, and that's where Purdue struggled to rebound the ball. I don't have anything else on him. I don't know if you do.
I mean, I thought he still made good plays while he's out there. He gets a really tough rebound at some point in there. I thought there was a couple times where he turned down good looks for himself and made the extra pass and got it to a guy who was absolutely wide open. I don't think he got any assist off him because I think they missed both times that he threw that pass. But I think he's a guy that knows what he's doing out there. He's a high IQ player. He's not going to be TKR from a rebounding standpoint, and we're just going to have to withstand those minutes on the glass, and everybody's going to have to crash. But I still think there's going to be a moment sometime this year where Benner steps up in a big time way, just from a shooting standpoint, and it's going to pay off for this team. And I think he doesn't drag the offense down any. Because there was a stretch in there. Smith was still in there. It was like Smith, Omer, Benter, Jacobsen, and I forget who the other person was, but like the ball was popping with Meyer and Smith, and yeah, it was Meyer, Smith, and Benter out there, and the ball was just popping around everywhere for like a 3-minute stretch. And offense looked beautiful, rebounding not so much, but there's still plenty of value in what he brings to the table.
Yep, and that's who like. He is the ninth man in the rotation. There's just going to be games where he doesn't get much run and he doesn't get many shots. It's just kind of how it's be. So, play of the game. I'm going to go first, and I'll let you take player of the game first. My play of the game is the Braden fake three, stare down, score. Um, yeah, that's that is peak Braden Smith right there. Just like mixing in the like, I'm going to make you look silly. I'm going to make sure everybody in the arena knows that you look silly right now, and then I'm still going to execute. So that would be my play of the game.
I'm gonna go with something really, really bland. but it's going to be from my main takeaway. There's a play somewhere in the second half, I think, where Clough gets the ball. It was off of a pick and roll with Meyer. Wasn't a perfect pass, and like he's kind of struggling for the ball, fighting against three other players, outfights them, and then just goes up and dunks it on their head. And like that's who we've wanted. We've wanted to see that ultra physical, just be a brute force. I'm gonna be strong with my hands. I'm gonna bully ball everybody and go up there and put it on their head. And like I to me, it's just more of a personification of what the last two games have looked like for him and how important that is for this team. I'm gonna give it to that play.
Respect. Player of the game, I'll let you go first since I went first for play of the game.
I'm
Or
going
game
TKR.
ball. I think that's what we're calling it, right? Game ball.
Game ball. I'm giving my game ball to TKR. We can talk about the points. Where did he end up at? Total points, TKR 17 points, but it's the rebounding. 7 offensive rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds, 15 total. Had an assist in there. He had a couple other nice passes. Easily could. He had a block tonight too. I don't remember the last time I saw TK have a block necessarily. He's not a big high riser in terms of blocking shots. Had a steal. But maybe more than anything is it's just his energy has been contagious to this team, and he seems like as much as anybody he has this singular focus of how important every play is and every possession is when he's on the court right now.
I think that is very fair. Braggs chimes in, says Clough gets it for him, so we'll give Clough or Braggs can give his game ball to Clough. Um, I will go then with Clough and TKR off the board. I'm going to go Omer Meyer then. It may right. Braden was more impactful in all that, but more of just like this is the flash. Like you really started to see the flash of what Meyer can become, and we'll see it some this year. We'll see it more next year. Uh, but I'll give it to him just because it was really good to see the kind of combination of passing, facilitating, shooting that he can provide for this team, both this year and going forward. So those were our game balls there. And I think that kind of can wrap it up. Do you have any other thoughts, comments, anything of the nature?
Are there
We
any
have a couple
comments we
start
want to get
comments.
through? Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
few here, so
I,
let's look at those.
I
Myron
can,
Clough.
uh,
Oh, sorry.
no, you
Myron
got it.
Clough look night and day comfortable now. Meyer's ceiling is through the roof. Agreed. We've talked about how good Meyer looked and how good the progression's going. Still things to work on, obviously, but his ceiling, once he gets those things figured out, is extremely, extremely high. Nice shout outs a little bit to one of our guys. So, who is better, Akron or Incarnate Word? I can tell you who's higher on Ken Palm.
Um, I would say Akron's a bit better, but Incarnate Word, they're a good mid major for anybody that is new. I mean, you got to be a real OG to remember Aiden Koontz. He was one of the um, when me and him both got brought onto Boilers in the Stands at the same time. It was that 2021, I believe, or 2020? No, 2020. No, not 21. 23.
20, yeah, I
20
think
this
so.
2022-23 season, something like that. But he co-founded Feed the Post with me. Now he is a coach and he's an assistant coach at Incarnate Word. They just played at Indiana today and gave Indiana a run for their money, and I believe ended up losing by 7 or something like that. I don't know what the final score, lost by 8. So shout out Aiden, shout out Incarnate Word. And you know he's doing big things in the coaching space, so it's fun to be able to kind of follow his journey the last few years there. And as they go forward. Akron's a really good mid major though. That's the other part of
Yeah.
the question was their Akron is a really good mid major. They're 79th on Ken Palm, and just for comparison, Purdue plays Memphis on Thursday. Memphis is 76th in Ken Palm, and Ken Palm isn't everything, but it gives you a generalization. Akron's by Ken Palm is on a very similar level to Memphis.
Right. Purdue 96 as our perimeter defense is going to give up open threes. Seems like a choice. I just talked a little bit ago about defensive facing Purdue. Every defense decides what they kind of want to focus on and take away, right? You can't take everything away. So teams are going to make that choice. Joe, from a Purdue perspective, is one of those things that like they're just going to be such a focus on not letting guards get into the paint because of the fact that was a struggle last year and teams getting easy looks in the paint and at the rim that this team's probably going to give up some threes, and especially with their playing more drop coverage.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, Purdue is giving up over 50% of their opponent shots are from three. Some of that's by design. Some of it's probably a little bit of you play three majors. I think they tend to generally have a little bit higher 3-point attempt rate, just given they usually don't have the size to get downhill. But yes, this defense is absolutely designed to take away the paints. You live with threes. And I think, not that my opinion matters, right? But I do think how I view this team defensively, that's the right call of you just kind of you take your chances that college teams aren't going to be elite shooting every single night, or even like against Bama, it was coming from guys where it's just like, yeah, they can hit a three, but it's like not something you trust, and they fall apart in the second. Or Bama's 3-point shooting falls apart in the second half. Akron even today, like a few of their guys, Evan Mahaffey knocks one down. He's not like a great shooter. Eric Mahaffey hasn't been a shooter. He goes 2 of 2. Amani Lyles 2 of 5. Like some of it is just they're gonna give shots to guys that if they make them, they make them. Now, generally, those are going to be more open, so that's why they can maybe shoot a little bit better. Um, but long story short, absolutely, that this right now, this what this defense is going to do is take away the paints and live with jumpers going up.
All right, last one, and then we'll sign off. J Daddy SAL says we still need a consistent fourth scorer. I'm old enough to remember when we had 2 consistent scorers at times, and everybody said we needed a third. Now we need a fourth. Do we need somebody to become a definitive, I'm going to be the 4th best scorer on this team every game, or can it be just kind of a combination of everybody else that we just need somebody to step up and be that guy?
So I started this one, and I wanted to bring it up through 4 games. It is 4 games, 3 of them mid majors, yada yada. Clough has 9, 14, 9, and 14 points. Like if that's not a consistent fourth scorer, I don't really know what is. I and he doesn't. Maybe it's because he doesn't necessarily get the looks of like, oh, this play is for Clough, right? He's feeding off of Braden pick and roll or off the offensive boards and putting him back up, but he's been that guy so far. And right with how good Purdue's top 3 are scoring the ball, I don't think you need a consistent fourth. You just need somebody between Meyer, Clough. I mean, really, just anybody besides the top 3. Anybody in the rotation, I think, could go for 13 plus on any given night. But I just wanted to call out Clough because it's feels like his season's it's only 4 games, but it's going like slightly under the radar.
Yeah. It's a good thing I told you he was averaging a double-double to start the night.
It kind of opened my eyes like, oh yeah, wow, he really is. And he had another one today as Purdue gets the 97-79 win over Akron. They head to the Bahamas where they would play Memphis on Thursday. That is a 6 p.m. Eastern time tip on CBS Network. We will have a preview out for the Memphis and also a Wake Forest Texas Tech preview sometime next week. Kraig will be there in person covering, so make sure to follow at Kraig Bowers 34. Is that right? Kraig Bowers 34 on Twitter.
Yep.
Kraig Bowers 34 and at Boilers and Stands for all your kind of Purdue coverage. He'll definitely be able to get some unique things. He does a great job covering in person on these trips that he's gone on the last few years. So give him a follow on his Twitter, then also at Boilers and Stands. Definitely make sure to do that. Hit the like and subscribe button on the way out. And yeah, we will be back with a preview sometime early next week. Braggs and I will be on for post-game shows for Memphis and the game that is the following day, either against Wake Forest or Texas Tech. Should be live pretty much right after the final buzzer. Kraig, I'm assuming we'll probably be doing a press conference, maybe jump in later. We'll figure it out, but we'll make sure you have plenty of content covering Purdue basketball kind of during the Thanksgiving break upcoming. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see you on the preview next week.